Yesterday, Riot released a video about some developer choices when it comes to Valorant, and I would like to react to it and tell you my thoughts or maybe some anecdotes of the past. So yeah, let's just go straight into some of the parts of the video. We're not going to watch the entire video. I'm going to link it in the description if you want to watch the entire thing, but I'm going to focus on the balance changes and the replay system. I'm not going to watch the skins portion. So yeah.
Hey all, I'm Coleman. I'm a product manager on Valorant gameplay.
And I'm Dan. I work with Coleman as a game designer on Agents and Live Balance.
We're here to discuss some of the work we've been doing this year, and give you our thoughts on additional changes coming down the road.
But first, we've heard a lot of feedback from y'all about map rotations lately, and we've been talking as a team about how we can make this experience better overall.
Yeah, so what they mean by that, we heard that you guys are destroying us in social media because the map pool sucks dick.
Rest assured that your feedback has been heard loud and clear. As a starting point, we're going to be more transparent around map rotations going forward, so you all know when they're happening ahead of time.
In the spirit of this, we want to confirm that the map pool will be rotating with patch 8.11 in early June. Breeze and Split will be rotating out, and Haven will be rotating back in.
So now let's talk about a little bit about that. So Breeze and Split are rotating out while Haven is being brought in, right? They are not bringing in another map from the old map pool that we have there available because they're making a new map, right? So it's always going to be like that. Think about it this way, right? Whenever there's a new map coming into the pool, that means only one old map is going to go back into the pool. Now, the reason why I think they're choosing to get Split and Breeze out is because in their perception, social media, like, you know, backlash from Breeze being hated is just too much. So they rather just don't deal with that, I think, which is a shame because I think Breeze is a fantastic map and just people hate it because it's hard to take duels and it's not easy to play, but it allows a lot creativity. And they probably people even hate it even more right now because of the Viper nerf, right? Remember, all of the adjustments that we're seeing in Valorant are being made for the pro play, essentially. And they're like a trickle-down effect towards ranked. Now, in ranked, when you play Breeze, you're not going to have a lot of Vipers. And even if you're going to have a lot of Vipers, they're not going to enjoy themselves when they're going to play that nerf to the ground agent now. So people don't like playing Breeze because now it sucks for two reasons. They don't like the map because they don't like the map, but they also don't like the map because they don't have enough good Viper players who are going to enjoy playing Viper. Right? So I'm assuming that's one of the reasons why they're taking Breeze out. So they're going to think about how to rework it and make it possible to play without having two controllers, right? And the thing is, they also tried reworking, like the first change that they did on Breeze was closing up holes, which was an absolutely terrible decision. By closing up holes, you change Breeze to a big ascent because essentially you have just two choke points and that's it, you know? And thank God they brought the holes back, but as you will see, many people will tell you that's a stupid decision because now the map is unplayable because there's too many entrances. But that's the thing about Breeze. That's what makes it unique and fun and creative because you have to be very aware of the potential rotations. It's more CS-like. For me, Breeze feels like the most CS map out of the entire pool. And that's what I liked about it. And now we're getting that map out. So we're focused on more choke pointy maps, which is gonna be fantastic. So Split's probably just being brought back because in ranked this map is just an absolute slog to play. It's like a one difficulty ahead for one difficulty higher than Ascent. Ascent has choke point sites. Split has them as well, but Split has complicated other routes, so it's not easy to understand for the players how to play it. So in ranked, essentially, specific also on lower ranks, I assume below like Immortal, teams are gonna struggle to do anything on attack. So right now we're gonna be back with Haven, which I assume gets a rework to some degree because in my eyes, when you get a map out of the pool, it should be reworked, right? That's the occasion to work on it because it's not in the active pool. So that's why I'm assuming it's here. But I don't understand the reasoning. Why are we not getting Ascent out? Well, I do understand. They don't want to bring the simplest map out of the map pool, because then people will rage even more, right? But at the same time, Ascent is the most boring map ever, and I absolutely hate it having it in pro play as well. I am absolutely, I don't even know how to express it, but the amount of Ascent maps that I have watched, analyzed, and have dealt with on broadcast in a professional setting on Ascent is probably over 300 or something like that. It's insane. And all of those maps are almost the same. Like, Ascent is so boring and so streamlined, and teams don't want to innovate. The biggest innovation that we have seen on Ascent is using a Viper on it. And now we know how that ended. So, yeah. I'm really not a fan of this decision when it comes to like getting Breeze and Split out and leaving Ascent. But hopefully the new map is going to be interesting. And yeah, the new map is, of course, I'm going to be testing it. And of course, the first video I will make about the new map is going to be where to place your smokes so you don't fuck it up. But yeah.
Now, let's dive into our main topic for today, role diversity. For context, the live game team's top priority for 2024 has been to increase intra-role diversity across the roster. Basically, looking at each role and ensuring more agents are viable in each one.
And promoting role diversity sometimes means toning down the power of an agent whose dominance prevents other agents in that role, or even other roles entirely from getting picked. That was the reasoning behind our changes to Skye and Viper earlier this year.
So, with Skye, I do agree that it was a good change, because the other agents in the initiator pool were just overshadowed. Like, literally overshadowed because of the raw power that Skye had with the recurring flash that also gave info. Essentially, Skye Flash was a recon from Sova, but also is a combat tool, while Sova is not, for example, right? So I understand why Skye decision making, and when it comes to the nerfs, were being done that way, and it promoted Gecko because he was also like buffed and so on. And Sova is still playable, although I'll be honest with you, he's not very good, right? Like the nerfs to shock darts that were completely unnecessary. All of that stuff is just like making it such a slog to play as well. But now the thing is, we still didn't see pro play with the Viper changes, and I made an assumption when I was making the rage video about Viper changes, that her pool is not gonna change. Like her pick rate is not gonna change, right? Because of the map pool. Like, if the map pool stays the same, that's the quote from the last video that I made about the Viper changes. If the map pool stays the same, Viper pick rate will still be 70% plus, because the the map pool and the compositions that teams play are being supported by Viper and only her, because no other agent delivers the same kind of utility. Now, of course, because now they're gonna change Breeze out and Split out, and those are Viper maps, the pick rate might go down, and people will be like, oh, look, now Viper's not being picked. Oh, good decision, but right. But it's not that. It's the maps that are the problem, not the agent. And we're going to talk about that during the duelist changes that the devs will talk about as well. The thing is that Haven is not inherently a Viper map, although you can play Viper, right, on it. And we have seen pro teams do that as well. And of course, it has to be a supplemental controller. So you pair that with an Omen or a Brimstone, and you have a really good composition. Now, unfortunately, with just one Molly, you can't really do reliable executes anymore, which is fantastic. But anyway, my point is, the Viper pick rate now is gonna go down because of two maps being out of the pool, which promoted Viper play, right? So unless the new map is also a Viper map, we're going to see a little bit less of Viper, but it's not the reason, like, it's not going to be because of the nerf. It's going to be just because of the maps.
This year. On the other side of things, often this can mean we also have to give a little bit of power back to weaker agents within a role, like Chamber, Deadlock, or Gecko.
Wait. They didn't change. Oh, no, wait, there was a Deadlock buff. Oh my god, it was so not a factor that I literally forgot that they buffed Deadlock. Yeah.
With changes like these, we often see players ask, why not just buff our weaker agents to match our most powerful ones?
So, I'm going to reiterate what is going to be the answer, and I 100% agree. I think the game doesn't need overpowered agents. We had that in the past. So as an anecdote, if you guys didn't play Valorant like 4 years ago, right, or 3 years ago, I can TLDR you, every single piece of util was cheap. Every single piece of util was 100 credits or 200 credits. So you were buying full util every single round. And you were using full util every single round. You were just spamming util because it was so cheap, it didn't make any difference. So on you lose a pistol round, doesn't matter. You have full util and you can win the rounds because you have 2 flashes. You're not afraid of using them because they cost nothing. So at that point, the devs made a huge change and made a huge uptick in the prices of utility. And my first reaction was, nah, that's terrible, man. How is like how do you want to play this game without utility because it's gonna be so expensive? That makes no sense. But after playing the game, I fully agree, and I was wrong, that the game dev decision to increase the price of all of the utility pieces in the game was a good thing to do. Because not only we had more cash in the past, we could have had 12,000 credits, if I remember correctly, as maximum on the game. The utility pieces were cheaper and the operator was cheaper as well by much. Now we have all of that being tougher to get, and you had been more mindful about using utility, which makes the gunplay more important and also decision making more important, because you just cannot spam whenever you can your utility pieces. So
and we hear you. Buffs are fun.
I agree, because if you overpower if you overpower agents, you inherently make the utility more important than the actual decision making when it comes to movement and shooting. And this is in the end a tactical shooter. So we should be focusing on shooting as much as we are on utility.
Fun. But there are 2 main reasons why we don't focus on buffing weaker agents as our primary balancing approach. The first is that Valorant as a game is more than just agents. It's a tactical shooter. The Valorant experience is a balancing act between agent utility, lethal gunplay, and tactical map design. If we buffed all of our agents to match our strongest ones in terms of power, we'd run the risk of agent abilities overshadowing everything else. Instead, we strive to maintain a healthy power level for our agents, and then tune our roster accordingly.
Second, as you all keep playing the game, your aim, creativity, and teamwork keep getting better. So you have to constantly reevaluate the game. For example, Jet from the open beta would be an absolute terror if she was unleashed on Valorant in 2024.
To TLDR, what was the Jet in the past? She had been called bad by everyone, including me. That was another thing that I had a misconception on. When I started playing Valorant, I thought Jet is not a good agent because she was so focused on her own gameplay and not really helping the team. But back then, 4 years ago, we didn't understand that Jet's job is to dash to side into her smoke and create the space. We just didn't understand that. But to tell you, the game dev also didn't understand that. The Riot didn't understand what her role was meant to be as well, because they agreed with everyone and said, yeah, let's buff her. So at some point in the game, and that was the moment when I changed my opinion, she got 3 smokes, which were 7 seconds each. It was insane. That change single-handedly made me think about Jet. Was like, wait, this is OP. Like, she literally had 1 brimstone smoke that was faster to use, could be a one-way, like impromptu one-way, and it was the best smoke to actually diffuse, because you covered almost the entirety of the diffusal, right? So that was one thing. She had 2 updrafts. She had insta dash, so she was literally like Chamber. She could play in any off angle and just miss a bullet and just go back, or get a kill, go back. Like, you were not able to kill her at all. Against a good Jet player, you were not able to kill her with the first engagement. She either was getting a kill or she was just off, because she was playing in such stupid off angles and never in danger. So, and then her ultimate had it gives me PTSD when I think about that. Her right click had a recharge of the knives, and you could animation cancel that right click animation. So you were essentially able to have a judge on the right click with full accuracy, and it was faster even than a judge, and you were able to just completely overcome like the entire lobby. Like it was insane.
And back then, she was widely considered underpowered. So we have to ensure we're maintaining that balance while also keeping up with the community.
None of this is to say we won't ever buff agents. In fact, we'll talk about some buffs in a minute. But
But funny enough, wait, we're
agents
going
is
to talk
also a
about
very
it in a
important
minute.
responsibility for us. It ensures that Valorant will still feel like Valorant for years to come. Okay, let's talk about some balance changes that you'll be seeing very soon.
In early June, with patch 8.11, we're shifting our focus to the duelist role.
Don't touch your.
Over time, we've seen pick diversity decline among duelists, especially in higher skill and pro play brackets.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We're shifting our focus to the duelist role, and let's listen to the next sentence.
To the duelist role. Over time, we've seen pick diversity decline among duelists. So, all right, we have duelists. We have Phoenix. We have Neon. We have Yoru. We have Jet. We have Raze. And we have ISO. Now, which duelists are playable in pro play? What do they have in common? Oh, yes, Dash. Well, Reina exists as that as well. You guys are right. I forgot about that. Well, for a reason. But the point is, the only playable duelists are the ones with mobility. Now, think about which maps were duelists not needed, or the duels could have been played without mobility. Breeze and Icebox. Why? Because they are not choke points maps. So literally the only reason why the pick diversity declined among duelists is map design, not agent balance. It didn't matter that Raze was at some point like overpowered, or Jet was overpowered and Phoenix underpowered. Right now, there's just no reason to play any of those agents on any map that is not Breeze or Icebox, because those two maps do not promote or do not require your duelist to dash and create chaos and crossfire displacement. So that's the reason why the pick diversity declined among duelists. Nothing else. You know? Like, Split. I mean, again, we're gonna go back to Ascent because Split is going out of map pool. Like this, it's such a simple concept. Oh, Valplant even knows what I want to do. You can only go through here. You can only go through here. So if you have to go for those small 2 choke points in this position, how do you do that? Well, you're required to have something that goes through the choke point without being killed most of the time. So the players on the defense side have to focus on the player that is dashing, right? This is why Jet is prevalent. This is why Jet dashing to Jenny in the smoke is a strat that you will see almost every time. This is why Jet updrafting into lane or updrafting to side is something that is needed, or just dashing forward here in those positions to make sure that the defenders have now several angles that they need to cover. And I struggle to understand. I struggle to understand that in this case, the developers don't see that as the main reason why the agent diversity is low, and they think it's the power levels. Let's see what they say. Decline among duelists, especially in higher skill and pro play brackets.
And by the way, Haven going back is another map that you are you're unable to play Haven without Jet or a Raze.
So we'll be shipping some nerfs to Raze, focused on her satchel mobility, as she's been an overly dominant pick in this space.
All right, let's digest that section. We'll be shipping some nerfs to Raze, focus on her satchel mobility. So one, I feel for the Raze mains, because you sacrificed so many hours to master double satcheling, and now it's gonna be nerfed in some way. I'm gonna assume that the Riot fashion to nerf Raze is gonna be delete one of her satchels. Very creative, I know. That's like, by seeing order changes to other agents, that's my assumption. They're gonna say delete it.
delete one satchel, leave one. With one satchel, her movement is gonna be the most predictable one. It's gonna be so much worse than a Jet. Not even close. Not even close. But I do agree that Raze, because of her really diverse utility pieces, she's like a very overall good agent, you know? But if they're gonna focus on the satchel mobility, that means that that Jet pick rate is gonna go higher, and people like CNET are gonna be happy. Because why would you play Raze if you're gonna have like a nerf coming to her mobility? Now we're gonna talk about that 100% in depth once we know the exact changes to Raze. But I'm telling you right now that if the change to Raze is to delete one satchel, that essentially promotes Jet gameplay on all the maps that require a mobility duelist. Because I don't believe that people will now suddenly sink hundreds of hours into mastering Yoru. Okay?
Though we'll be shipping some nerfs to Raze.
Oh, by the way, not sure if you guys remember also that. Let's think about it this way. If they delete one satchel, that also destroys the animation cancel on the ultimate.
Focused on her satchel mobility, as she's been an overly dominant pick in this space. And as for buffs, we see several candidates who have an opportunity to be more relevant in the current meta. ISO, Neon, and Reyna.
How do those three can be relevant in current metagame when the map pool literally says no? I'm losing my mind here. I mean, again, we're gonna talk about those. We're gonna talk about those changes once we know exactly what's gonna happen with those agents. And before you start spamming, Reyna's getting a rework, so she's not getting a buff. But at the same time, she got a small rework in the past, and it was a buff. So who knows? In general, ISO and Neon are not gonna take place of Raze and Jet just because their power level is gonna be higher. You know? Like, Jet is just gonna be picked if Raze is gonna be unplayable. You know?
Don't worry, we'll explain that last one.
Yeah, for ISO and Neon, we're leaning into strengthening what makes them unique. Namely, we'll be adjusting ISO's shield paradigm and Neon's...
Alright, so they're gonna focus on fixing or buffing the wall from ISO and the slide from Neon. Now, the thing is, if we play ISO, let's say on Ascent, right, and we have contingency going like this, right, the size of it is not good enough, that's for sure, right? It's just not big enough to make it a viable choice for actually entering a site. It would have to be twice the size. Shield, not the wall. Wait, what? Where's ISO? Oh my god. Alright, so I assumed because they want to have an... I assume the logical choice would be buffing the wall because that's the only tool that he has to enter the site. Guys, I'm sorry, I made a logical conclusion that was not correct. So I thought they're gonna buff the wall, not the shield. The shield is a non-factor. The shield is not useful in any manner to actual the job of the duelist. You know? What we needed is a change to his wall to enter the site. You know? And this...
slide, as well as some small other tweaks. And for Reyna, we know she's quite...
like... I don't know why they're focused on
ISO's shield paradigm and Neon slide.
I don't get it, man. As well as some other small tweaks. I mean, I'm gonna assume if he mentions other small tweaks, the other small tweaks are gonna be just like small price changes or something. And the shield part, like they're focused on the shield and slide. So for Neon, slide, yes, sure. If you make the slide longer or faster and you can more like reliably enter for the team, yes, that's gonna be a good change to promote her in the mobility space agents. But the shield, is a non-factor. It's like talking about Reyna and saying, yes, so for Reyna to be a higher picked agent in pro play, we're gonna buff the dismiss. Or like buff the heal. It's a non-factor. For the duelist to matter, you need to help them entering the site. That's why jet dash and smoke is important. That's why satchels are important. And that's why we had the conversation before. And that's why neon slide and wall combo is important. And it's so hard to actually enter for yourself because of it, right? Like, and then we have ISO, whose only tool to enter the site is his wall. And his wall right now is not good enough, is not wide enough. It doesn't cover enough angles. It doesn't spawn fast enough. It has several issues that don't help him being an actual space creator duelist. But we're going to talk about that when those changes will be made
we know
as
she's
well.
quite strong in ranked, but she actually struggles in more coordinated team play.
Yeah, she's that's an understatement of the year.
So her changes aim to improve her viability in those team environments like Premier and Pro, while also reducing some of her current rank strengths.
So you know what's funny is that her changes aim to improve her viability in those team environments like Premier and Pro, right?
Her changes aim to improve her viability in those team environments like Premier and Pro, while also reducing some of her current rank strengths.
So, while reducing the ranked strength. It was literally the same that they said last time that Reyna was changed, and it was just straight up a buff. So she needs like an entire rework. It's not about like buffing any numbers. It's not about changing the way that the utility like affects your own gameplay in a numbers game. What you need to have with Reyna is quite literally a remake of her two pieces of utility, that is the heal and the dismiss. Like, if you cannot just buff a blind, you cannot just, that doesn't affect anything. Like, blind already got buffed to hell, and it doesn't change anything for the pro teams, because pro teams don't want to play an agent with one utility piece. So I hope that the changes to Reyna will be nice. I hope that the changes to Reyna will be team-based. What I would personally like to see from Reyna is her being like a leader for the team. It's something that's actually would be lore-wise accurate, because Reyna was a leader of the revolution 200 years later after the incident. So she was like an equivalent of a Leia Organa a little bit. But KO killed her. But anyway, my point is, since her role in the lore is a leader, I would like her to be adjusted to that. So, for example, her ultimate would buff the movement speed of an entire team, right? Or her utility. Whenever she gets a kill, it buffs other teammates, you know, like every single teammate now gets fire rate buff, or every single teammate now gets a little bit of heal or overheal or something like that, right? It should be more about the team rather than her. Maybe you could activate dismiss without getting a kill, and it would eat your health, right? So you could enter the site while not being killed, but it eats your health. So you can like press a button, go into the dismiss mode, and you just go like forward like a menacing ghost, and you're being followed, right? Like some of that stuff that affects the teammates in a positive manner and doesn't make her an egoistical, just ranked demon, you know? So of course those would be have to be heavily balanced, because you cannot just make dismiss just like press button, go in, and just that's it, you know? Like there has to be a negative effect of it, right? So that would be the road that I would take when it comes to reworking Reyna. She needs to be affecting the teammates in a positive manner to make her a viable choice for anything that is not ranked, you know? But it's still probably not going to be enough for her to be played in pro play, you know?
These balance changes in 8.11 will most likely be the last significant ones you see from us until after Champs. We want to make sure that pro teams have plenty of time to get used to these changes after Masters Shanghai and adjust accordingly. Of course, you'll still see smaller patches roll out during this time. We'll just only adjust balance if something major bubbles up. Also, we're working on some pretty exciting stuff for after Champs that you'll get to play closer to the end of the year, like larger balance updates and modes changes. We'll be back to chat with you more about all that after Champs. Also, keep an eye out for more comms from the Maps team coming this summer. Now, we'll toss it over to Preeti and Sean.
All right, so this is going to be about skins. We're not going to watch this, but we're going to go into the replay mode. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. So to summarize the changes to the agents, I am a little bit anxious about a lot of stuff that they said, and it feels like it's a little bit tone deaf on what is the actual issue, and the issue is always coming back to map design. Sorry, not map pool. The issue in my eyes is how the maps are designed. It's not the agents themselves. And the agents themselves need to be adjusted because of the bad map design, the choke pointed design of the maps. And people dislike the maps that actually promote diversity, like Breeze, you know? So, of course, you can argue, oh wait, but Breeze is unplayable for Viper and so on. The map could be changed a little bit to make it less Viper heavy. But it's like, we don't want to see, I don't want to see maps that are just like a repetition of every single other map that we already had. Split, Sunset, and Ascent feels like almost the same map. Fracture is amazing, you know? Like, because it's such a different map. Pearl is nice because it's such a different map as well, and the choke points are like diverse and require you to think differently about how to approach the map. But the midsection of the map was not great because it's such a small piece. Right, but then, like, I don't know. It's hard to say. We're gonna have a very heavy video when we're actually gonna see the changes to the agents. But let's go into replays now with Marcus.
Hi everyone. I'm happy to be able to stop by and nerd out a little bit with you all on replays. First off, we have been working on replays.
Of course, I know that, and you smart people in the chat know that Riot is working on the replay mode. Only the stupid people will say, Riot, it's not even working on the replay mode. What are you guys talking? You brainwash. Those are the Reddit that you will read, the VLR comments that you're gonna read. Of course, they're working on it. Like, they said multiple times they're gonna work on it. It's gonna take time. Like, the amount of bitching that we have seen in the past was insane.
Looking at a free cam view from a prototype build of our replay system right now. I want to emphasize the word prototype.
Wait, what is here? So we have pause play, toggle cursor, cycle agent, hide UI, free cam, agent overlay, exit, and nothing else over here. Okay.
This is nowhere near launch, and you're about to see one of the types of challenges that we need to solve. From the beginning, Valorant was designed from the ground up to maximize performance, stability, and competitive integrity online. We built gameplay logic and in-game assets around a multiplayer session. Player does a thing, their game client relays that thing to the server, other players in the game see that thing in real time. Replays, though, introduce new requirements that aren't present in normal games. For example, when viewing a replay, time might be paused, or you might want to review a specific round in a match. Unreal gives us a lot for free on replays, but we didn't plan for these scenarios up front.
Am I surprised? No. Is it a problem? A little bit, but I'm not surprised that they're designing a game without a replay system being their main focus. If their main focus was to have a game that has good performance and good competitive integrity, I 100% agree that you should not be even focusing on a replay in the first years. You have a very finite amount of devs that have to make the game work. Like replay, you don't need to. You absolutely disagree with everyone saying that replay system is essential. No, it's not. The game works. We have a VCT competitive circuit for 4 years. We don't need replay system. No one needs a replay system. And you know who needs the replay system the least? Pro players. The good pro players are gonna be disappointed when replay system is gonna be in the game. People like Boaster, people like Mini are happy that there's no replay system because no one can fucking steal their shit. Unless it's, of course, it's gonna be shown on the broadcast by accident. Oh my god. But No one wants, from the good teams, no one wants the replay system to be in the game. The only people who will benefit, not the only people, the people who will benefit the most out of the replay system are content creators like me, are content creators like Sliggy, are bad coaches, I'm not gonna name those, bad analysts, bad teams. Those are the 5 people who will benefit the most. Not you, not some like random casual player. They're gonna use replay system once when it's new, and they're gonna forget about it. Because the argument, oh, I need replay system to learn, I'm gonna analyze my VODs. Motherfucker, stop lying, man. Like, swear to God, if I would get a nickel every time someone would say I would have been so much better in the game if I would have replay mode, I would be a millionaire. People have, on average, let's assume around 10 hours of free time to play Valorant per week, right? And I think that's generous for a casual audience. Like, that's pretty casual for a casual audience, right? 10 is a lot. 10 hours per week is a lot. Now, from that 10 hours, how many do you think a player will sacrifice to rewatch the games that he played? Yeah, that's what I thought. Probably none. Because he would rather play the game than rewatch his own game. You know what? When he's gonna go into the replay mode, he's gonna go into the replay mode to check, man, this person is cheating, man. I'm gonna check, man. I'm gonna see how he killed me. Oh, okay. I'm just stupid and didn't look in the corner. He's still cheating, man. He's still cheating. I just can't prove it. And then he exits the replay system. He checked like 10 seconds of it, and that's it. You know? And that's it. Like, it's gonna be used for few times when it's new, when it's something that you're gonna just want to check, and then people will forget about it. Like, people will not use it to analyze exactly how they played, like if they made correct rotation, how they could use utility. Like, it's not gonna help in that way. It's gonna help with my content creation. I will be able to go into a game and just like do an analysis of how Delca plays Raze, for example, or how CNET plays Jet, and I can do a full breakdown of a map and like go piece by piece. I can do that then. But it will not help a casual player getting better at the game. What would help a casual player getting better at the game is a mindset change of actually paying attention to yourself on your shooting abilities, of your movement, and your decision making in a microscope like level, not a replay mode level. You know, it's a big hopium and copium that the replay system is essential to the game. You know, like I feel like it's being this entirety like of this replay drama is completely unnecessary and is blown out of proportion.
There are a plethora of issues with maps, abilities, weapons, as well as visual and audio effects that we need to work through to make them replay ready. Otherwise, defects show up when viewing moments out of a game and in a replay. Some of these defects are pretty funny. For example, here's a side-by-side clip that shows me interacting with a door switch in a custom game, beside that same interaction when viewed in a replay. Not sure that door in the replay is very good at being a door. Other defects are...
It's a window. So, to show you this like in context, when I was playing CS 20 years ago, right, we had a replay system and it was absolutely awful. And you know what did I use the replay system for back then? To make a frag movie, not to learn, even though I wanted to learn. You know, it's like, yeah, I can get better by maybe watching some teams play and so on. But no, I was training with my team. I was focusing on us instead of the opponents, and then I was using the replay system to make a fucking montage. And you know what was the worst about using the replay system for montages? They looked shit because they're desynced, just like this one. And that's gonna be another problem. You're not gonna do a cool looking montage out of a replay system because it will never look exactly the same like you actually have seen it in the game. It's always gonna look off. It's always gonna be a little bit not like it's supposed to be. And it's gonna be very hard to put a finger on it. It's like, what exactly is wrong? But it's gonna be different because every single replay system works like this. The game is being played and recorded in a binary file of what's happening in the game. Every single thing that happens in the game is being typed out in a file, in a code. And then when you go into the game and you load a replay, the game is being loaded up again on a server, and the game is going to be replayed by using the commands from that file. It's not a audio and video recording that you're replaying. It's an actual game engine replaying the comments that were being input into that file. So there's 1 million things that that can break or will look differently than in the actual game because you are not able to recreate exactly everything like it was in the real game. This is why you're gonna have stuff like this. You're gonna have crossword displacement. This is why you're gonna see traces going, I don't know, everywhere. You're gonna see probably bugs like this. Traces of guns probably not being available because they're just gonna be bullshit anyway. You might actually have smokes disappear and appear just instantly. You might see flashes on the explosions with what the actual like utility being used, or you might see displacement. The flash is gonna go like this but explode here. Recon arrows, maybe you're gonna start scanning before the arrow will land. Like so many things, you know, so many things are gonna be different.
Effects are more subtle, but for replays to be valuable to all of you, they need to be accurate. In this clip, we see another side.
Oh, great. Thanks. That's what I'm talking about. Already, look. So replays on the right. Wait. I'm actually looking at the crossbar. Look at the crosser placement, by the way, guys. Guys. Look right now at the crosser placement. Please pay attention. Don't pay attention to the smoke. I want you to pay attention to the crosser placement. Crosser in the gameplay is here. Crosser in the replay is here. Are you seeing this? And now it aligns. But as you can see, this is a problem. It's frame by frame, but it's already inaccurate. And that is incredibly tough to fix. Now think about it this way. Oh my god, a casual player goes into replay mode and sees the crosser just jump between targets? Look, cheater bro! Vanguard is shit! This guy's obviously cheating! He snapped to my fucking leg! Look at this! You see what I'm talking about? Replay system will never be an actual tool to catch cheaters. For that is Vanguard, not this.
Another side-by-side of a moment in a custom game versus that same moment in a replay. Notice the game clock.
But it's the same in CS, by the way. It's literally the same in CS. The CS replay system that I remember was absolute dog shit. Loading in files, breaking in half, not being able to rewind, crosser placement being completely like all over the place, not exactly accurate. It was always the same stuff. I don't know about CS2 because I never used that replay system in CS2, but in CSGO, in CS 1.6, in CS Source, the replay system was just not accurate.
As Brent takes the corner in the replay frame, we see the smoke deploying from the start of the ability's animation. But it should have already been active as it was deployed before Brim rounded the corner. Then, when the smoke timer ends, the replay smoke disappears with
that's what I was talking about.
Dispersion animation. These clips only show a couple of defects with a couple of individual assets. Valorant's gameplay is built from thousands of these individual assets that all need to be audited for correctness and possibly adjusted to be correct in replay scenarios. we need to do all of that work without breaking anything in the live game.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we're taking our time to make sure that we do it. Now, back to Anna and Amy.
Yeah, Marcus, thank you very much for this very transparent portion of the video. I loved it. I loved it because maybe, but I probably not, the people who are yapping about the replay system, you know, are gonna be shut up maybe at some point. But it's I don't know, man. People think like, bro, there was a guy. Wait, I need to show you this. The audacity of this person. I saw a video, Valorant replay system. I saw a guy do a video that he made a replay system. Oh, this guy. The audacity of this fucking moron. Holy shit. I made a replay system to prove Riot Games is lazy. This motherfucker made a video that he created a replay system in Unreal because it's so easy. So he went and like and created, you know, a small replay system in fucking Unreal Engine, and he's like, yeah.
Our replay system
Look at
is
that.
next.
Oh,
Very
man.
quickly, I want to show you all 3 of the abilities in
That's so
action. Let
lazy.
me know what you think for just a couple hours of work.
They're so
Why am I
lazy,
spending
man. They
so
cannot
many
make it
hours on
themselves.
something that I
Oh.
can't even release to the public. To prove a point, of course. If you're listening, Riot Games, get some paper and pull that pen out of your ass because I'm going to actually teach you how I made my replay system.
You are an absolute fucking asshole. You should be ashamed of yourself. Holy fuck. Let me create a fucking replay system. Unreal gives you every single tool. It's insane, man, that people like this are thinking they're right. But you know, when someone says a sensible opinion like I do, and I say it's incredibly important to make a system that works, you know, it's incredibly important to make a replay system that actually doesn't break the game, that shows you accurately all the stuff on the like, there's so many things that can go wrong. But people like this are the people who then are being listened to and think, look, this guy made the fucking replay system in 2 days. It has to be like this. One guy can make a replay system with 3 inputs. Has to be very simple. You know? People who never worked a day in their life are the ones that are gonna be yapping the most about how it is easy to work. Always the same shit. You know? So anyway, I'm very happy that the replay system is being worked on. As I was certain before, it's an incredibly complicated tool to make. But not only that, remember that apart from the fact that it has to work correctly, it has to be easy to understand and use, right? That's another thing. It has to work in a way that user experience and user interface is being made correctly, right? And then also remember that it has to be not buggy in a way that when you load into a game, you cannot be kicked out. Because if that's going to happen, people will say, $1 billion Riot game dev lazy. Not understanding how to make replay system. And I will tell you one thing. In game dev, throwing money at the game developers doesn't fix the issue. You cannot give a birth to a child in 1 month if you have 9 mothers. All right? It doesn't work that way. And actually hiring more devs to create a product, right? If it's not from the ground up, it actually creates even more problems. Because you have to find people who are capable of working in a set environment and work on that product. But also those people have to be brought up to pace and be taught of how the project was started. Like, not everyone who never worked in any kind of like developer like software position, they have absolutely no idea how any of that works. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Was gonna talk. This video is way too long. 50 minutes. Holy crap. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my rant. Talk to you next time.